Hey, this is Mike Crisancho again from the digitalpm.com, going over Magento Commerce and how to set up your own Magento community store. So our last video, we talked about the dashboard a little bit, the content that you would eventually see once things start populating. I want to take a quick minute to review the top level navigation. And by top level navigation, if you're unfamiliar, is these elements up here at the top. I'll go through these really quick just so what you can expect. Sales, this is where you would find obviously your orders, your invoices, shipments, credit memos. This is how you would do, set up your taxes for your state taxes that you need to pay. Terms and conditions, if you need to set up specific terms, if you're selling, over borders or you're selling overseas, which Magento does very well, you'll need to set up some additional, taxes and terms and conditions. And then additionally, you can see some of the information about credit memos, which is a return module. You can give people money back to their credit card. You can return things to stock if somebody's making a return if they were unhappy with their physical product. So that's sales at a top level. Catalog. This focuses around all of your merchandising, so your products, your categories, which will be, we'll go into depth on all of these things, but categories will be, your main navigation elements. Attributes, which you can think of, a product is made up of attributes. So if you think of it kind of as a human has different body parts, those could be the categories. We have different elements within us, that molecules, DNA. Those things are known as attributes. So it's the smallest piece of a product, which then goes into a category. So I'll go into more depth on that soon. But products, categories, attributes, URL rewrite management. So if you need to send people to a specific URL. So, if you wanted to go to shopmapstore.com/thedigitalpm.com, if I wanted to forward that to a specific product or a specific URL within the Magento structure, I can do it that way. Search terms, which we talked a little bit about in our first video, is simply the visualization of who is searching what, how frequent, and if they're getting a return, and to see if people are landing on the proper product. Reviews and ratings through Magento, there is a review system for products built in. It's actually pretty good, so people can leave their own thoughts and review products they have purchased, and you have the ability to manage those before they hit the front of the website. This could be if there's spam, if there's some slander going on, you want to make sure that those are addressed before you let it go straight through, so you can manage that review and rating systems here. Tags are available for products themselves if you want to tag them with specific nomenclature. So for instance, if you're selling a shirt, you'd probably want to tag it with something like t-shirt or cotton t-shirt or something along those lines to signify, if somebody searched the tag, they'd be able to find that product as well. And then Google Sitemap is pretty straightforward. It allows you to send the Google Sitemap. You grab a sitemap.xml file and you can send that to Google Webmaster Tools so that they begin to index your site. Mobile, within Magento comes kind of a rough mobile application that you can sign up for. Through the iPhone store and through Android store, they do have a mobile application, so you can sign up for this and submit your store and your content to that application. It's not great by any means. If you want to do mobile optimized things, I definitely recommend having a responsive web design. Out of the box 1.9 has that. It's very rudimentary, but it does have some of those features that allows you to browse on multiple devices. And through the rest of mobile, it shows additional content directly related to mobile that probably won't be applicable for probably about 90% of users. Again, I'm a big advocate for responsive design, so this tab I'll get into a little bit, but probably won't touch it too much till later. Customers is the big area for customer service. You can see individual customers that are signed up for your website. You can assign them to customer groups. This would be example like general or not logged in, the people that don't have accounts. Or if you're selling wholesale, you want to have a wholesale customer group. You could potentially have a VIP group for people that are repeat purchasers or that you have good relationships with. So customer groups can be very nice to have for promotional content, from promotions and category price rules, which are basically coupons. And then online customer, you can see at any one point in time who is online on your site. And this is similar to Google Real Time. You can see where they're coming from, where they are, their IP address, things of that nature. So promotions, this is where you would go to write coupon codes. This is where you would go to discount categories at a top level. So for instance, back to that t-shirts, if we were selling a whole category of cotton t-shirts, we'd want the whole category to be on sale. We could do it through writing specific rules. And these do get pretty deep, and we'll spend a lot of time going through those. Newsletter, there is some rudimentary sending of newsletters through Magento. So you have the ability to set up templates, to queue things up, to view your subscribers, and then to see if there's any issues with your newsletters. I typically recommend offloading newsletter to a third-party service like MailChimp or Constant Contact or Bronto or any of the other big services, just because you don't want to use resources for the server, especially if you're on a cheap plan. You want to try to leave that for e-commerce overhead. You don't want to constantly be sending things off the site. CMS is Content Management System. This is where you put your content, so about us, your FAQs, your frequently asked questions, shipping policies, privacy policy, and all of those details you can modify there. Static blocks are individual pieces of content that you can modify. So on our site, I believe this homepage and this content blocks, these are individual content blocks, but they're also called static blocks. So you can modify those and upload your own images to specific content areas. Widgets are very similar. It gives you the ability to update, content such as bestsellers, upsells, cross-sells, those type things. And then polls, there's a polling system built into Magento, so you can ask, low-level questions like, what's your favorite product, or what's your favorite category, or, rate us 1 through 5, something simple like that. Reporting, there's a decent engine in here. It doesn't give you all of the data to run your system. You want to export out your product and order information to a QuickBooks file or something like that you can aggregate data. But you can see, a pretty good amount of content. So you could see your orders, how much you're spending on tax, shipping, how much you're refunding is really important, and how much you're discounting for coupons. That way you can make sure that you can support and that your profit margin can support additional coupons. So again, if your profit margin for your products is 50% and you're giving 50% coupons to everything, you're really breaking even and potentially losing money. Shopping cart, you can see people that abandon their carts and then products in the cart currently. So you can see potentially what products are being turned over well or not being turned over well. Products themselves, you can see your best sellers, products ordered, the most viewed products, and ideally the most viewed products is also your products ordered. If not, then there might be some content on that page that is killing the buying decision, so you'll want to review that. It's a quick tidbit. Again, if your most viewed products are not your highest products ordered, that's either for a couple of reasons. 1, the price point is too high. 2, there's some barrier to purchase, so maybe they can't find the add to cart button, or some of the content isn't descriptive enough. Or 3, maybe some of the imagery on that page just doesn't communicate with them what the product actually is or does for them. Low stock, you can see products that have exactly what it says, a low stock. If you have a physical product, you're going to want to keep an eye on this to make sure that you know what SKUs are running low, that way you can repurchase. And then downloads, if you're doing non-physical items, if you're doing digital products, you can see what's been downloaded. Customers, new accounts, customer by order totals, and customers by number of orders. It's a pretty good information. It's high level. Again, if you're going to want to aggregate data to get customer lifetime value and all of that information that's not in Magento, you're going to want to do that somewhere else. Tags we talked about. You can see what people are communicating tags. What customers are saying things, and what products are communicating specific elements. And customers can produce tags. They can suggest tags. I would say there's not a lot of value there, but depending on your business type, you may want to have that feedback. Reviews, we talked about customer reviews and product reviews. Sometimes I'll see that customers that give 10 reviews on products that are actually substantial, there's a residual effect to that. Because if you think of Amazon, if you leave a review and everything's 5 stars, you just in turn are confident in your buying decision. Whereas if everything has 2 stars, you could potentially say, well, is this the product for me? Because it's been rated poorly by actual purchasers. So you want to keep an eye on these to make sure that you're responding to the people in turn. If somebody's given you 10 reviews, maybe you reach out to them directly and offer them a coupon or a discount, or just some free swag. For the product reviews, again, you just want to make sure that there's not a lot of variation in your product reviews. So if you have a product, SKU 001, and it typically has 5 stars, and all of a sudden you notice that it's starting to get a lot of 1-star reviews, and you know that you just made a new purchase order. Maybe there's something faulty with that order. You need to do a recall, or reach out to customers to see why they have been rating it so low. Search terms we talked about, and then refresh statistics. You'll want to run that when you're going to do reporting. You can refresh it for the lifetime of your store, or you can refresh it for the last day. So it really kind of depends on when you're going to be doing your reviews and your reporting. One quick tidbit is if you do reporting, though, you're going to want to make sure that it's during a downtime, because it does take up server resources just because of how much data it's crunching. System, this is where you're going to find a lot of your configurations. So this is where all the setup happens, and for most people you don't really touch this. If you are working with a solutions partner through Magento or a freelancer, I definitely recommend allowing them to walk you through these things if these tutorials don't work to full capacity. But there's just a lot of content here. So you can see APIs, you can see design, import, export of data. You can manage your currency, add different currency if you're selling in different countries. Transactional emails, and what that is simply new order emails, new shipments, forgotten password. So basically the emails that are auto-responder due to an action. Custom variables, permissions. You can limit people from seeing certain things in the admin panel. So if you have a customer service section of your business, you probably want to limit them to only maybe sales catalog and customers, but they don't need to see other things. Magento Connect, there's a huge platform and a huge community for extensions through Magento, and an extension is just a group of a module of code that does a certain action. So on the home page, for instance, it's probably an extension for this slider. There's no second content here. I haven't added a second slide, but you can see that there is a slider here. That would be an example of an installation of an extension, because it expands on what Magento is at its core. Cache management is very, very important. This is really what makes the site go fast. If one visitor goes to the home page, it caches that content, potentially on the server or in their browser to serve those pages faster. So the experience, the user experience, can be the ultimate, the highest level possible. Index management, really what this is if you think about just an Excel spreadsheet. If you just put information everywhere on the page, in every single cell and every single column, and then you tried to come back a month later, you probably couldn't read it. So what you would need to do is organize it, and that's a quick way to think about index management. The way the information is inputted, customers place orders, you add new products, you move things in categories. It's a lot of dirty data. So when you re-index the site, it brings it into a columnar approach and it reshuffles it so it's quicker to read. And where this is beneficial is it's less taxing on the server, and it's just more efficient overall. Managed stores, you can add an infinite amount of websites and .coms to your store. That's Magento's biggest strong suit. I've seen websites that have one Magento installation, which is this, one admin panel. that has upwards of 30 websites on it. So there's all using the same inventory, that just marketing is different on each of those stores. Order statuses we'll get into a little bit later. This would just be how an order comes in. Maybe it's processing, or it's shipped, or it's completed. And then configuration is quite a plethora, and I won't get into that, but there's a lot of configuration that you can do within this site just right off the bat. And then last thing up here, you have a global record search. So if you wanted to search a specific SKU or product or order or customer, you could go in there and utilize that. So that's a high level detail, a lot of content there. If you have any questions about each of these sections, we will be going into depth on each individual high level section, and I'll be going over how to modify and create using each section. So give me a little time to procure that content and put it together for you for training and for tutorials. But if you have any questions about what we talked about here, feel free to write something in the comments. And again, this is Mike Cristancho from both MikeCristancho.com, as you can see here, and the Digital PM. This is also my site where I am accumulating the content. So you have Magento tutorials you can view, and then if you're looking to pass the Solution Specialist exam, which I am personally certified as a Magento Solution Specialist under Magento's banner, you can find additional content there. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time, and we'll talk next time. Be on the lookout for the next video.